and I need to tell you about the League before we begin. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Elections and voting are core concern for the League. Year in and year out, the leagues are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and the positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. The League never supports or opposes candidates for office or political parties. We use any use of the League name or of footage from the debate in campaign materials, literature, or advertising of any kind, including internet, cable, or TV, has not been authorized by us. Providing moderators and timekeepers for forums like this is one of the important parts of the League's missions and goals to empower citizens to shape better communities. League membership is open to all adult citizens, male and female, who share the organization's values and purposes. And we have applications up on the table. Always glad to have more members. League policy is that the moderator must not be eligible to vote in the election being moderated, and therefore should have no personal interest in the outcome. I don't live, work, or vote in Lower Township, so I'm good to go. Please turn off your cell phones and any other electronic devices that you may have, and please refrain from taking photographs during the debate unless these have been agreed upon in advance. So now I have to tell you the rules for the evening. Opening statements will be made by each candidate. They will have 2 minutes. The timekeepers will show the yellow sheet over there when they have 30 seconds to go. You may complete your sentence, and then we would ask you to cease speaking. Your closing you'll have 1 minute. When we ask the question of one candidate, you will have 90 seconds to respond. There can be a response from the other candidate for 60 seconds, and then a rebuttal from the first person. So if we're ready to go, tonight, debate is being sponsored by the Star and Wave newspaper of Cape May and 94.3 WIVG radio. So, first up, Mr. Conrad, for your opening statement.
Please help me real quick. Okay. Good evening. I'm Thomas Conrad, Councilman of Ward 1, and seeking your support. I'm an active member of this community, and I've been volunteering here since 1987, and I enjoy working with our youth. I'm honored to represent you on council. Let's get right to it, as certain people have distorted my position. I will vote any day to move the police station to the Gulfs, but you elected me to make informed decisions, and there are too many unanswered questions. The final cost has not been determined. Originally, it was $2 to $3 million. Now they're talking over $4 million. There is no legitimate plan for parking. We don't know yet if the court will be allowed to move. We were told by the state to add offices and space. I have school parents and grandparents come to me and tell me that they don't want sex offenders coming to the school area to register. We still have a lease for that building at the airport. We are responsible for it. The rent may only be $1 a year, but now they're talking about leaving fire safety over there. Under that plan, we will be stuck with the cost of the current building and spending millions for a new one. Don't we have an obligation to you to at least explore the possibility of shared services agreement with the county? What if we could get the airport building renovated with the county picking up a lot of the cost? What if we could save the taxpayers over $3 million? Don't we have an obligation to at least explore that option? All I have ever done as your councilman is try to look out for the people of Ward 1. We don't have big homes on big lots. Most of us don't have a beach view. We are the hardworking blue-collar men and women who struggle to make ends meet every day. I represent you, not the mayor or deputy mayor, I will not blindly agree to spend more than $4 million of your money without making sure I have yours and my questions answered first. Thank you for coming out tonight, and I'd like to thank the league for hosting this.
Mr. Walker?
First of all, I'd like to thank the league and all those that made this debate possible. My name is Johnny Walker. I'm a resident of the Villas, married to my wife Kathleen for 47 years. I've been active in my community all my life, and I'm a strong advocate of Veterans Affairs. Most of all, I'm committed to my faith, my family, my community, and that commitment is why I sit here tonight. I have spent many hours on the street listening to you, and I know how you feel. You feel the government does not listen. I've spoken with Stephen and Denise on Texas Avenue, Dan on West Atlantic, and countless others, and they all share the same concerns for quality of life issues, such as code enforcement, leaf pickup, and absentee landlords. But they all share a larger common concern, the safety of their families. With very few exceptions, they cannot understand why the police station was ever moved, and they want it back now. I was astounded by the number of people who have told me they have never seen our police station. But they do see the exploding drug problem in our neighborhood, a problem affecting their families and their children, and they don't understand how their councilman did not support bringing the police station back, and did not vote for a budget to hire more officers. After 8 years of Councilman Conrad, they do not see things getting better. And I feel he let the neighborhood down. 8 years is enough, and I know I can do better. My platform is very simple. 1, bring the police station back, hire more officers, fight the drug problem with all our might because it's too important to lose. 2, make the MUA a township department and save $1 million a year. 3, fix the neighborhood problems that have been completely ignored under Councilman Conrad. When elected, your problems are mine, and together we can fix anything. I look forward to serving you, and as an elected official, to know we can make this a better place to live. Thank you.
I'm going to start with a very mild question before we get into the more heated topics. Mr. Conrad, what are your plans to reduce taxes for Lower Township?
1, I want to look at shared services. I have been watching all spending. I don't need unnecessary spending from this township. We do need to get more police officers on the street, and that has been my platform for a while. But we may have to pay a little bit more for that now or in the future. But we did negotiate a good contract with the police department to try to work that out. We have other priorities, and that's where moving the police station, we have to look at other options and see what we're getting because we have to fix our roads. We have problems with storm drains on Evergreen, Atlantic. There's a lot of them that are causing flooding. We have a lot of things to do. That's why we have to watch our money.
Mr. Walker, would you like to answer the same question rather than do a response and a rebuttal?
I would like to answer the same question. The first thing I want to let the public be fully aware of is, number 1, I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to tell you the politician's story. I'm a concerned citizen, and what do concerned citizens do? We do what we know best. We go back just like we run our household. First thing, we gather all the issues and all the facts that whatever it's going to take on what taxes need to be raised. One thing for sure, if it comes to public safety, I will not hesitate. I will not hesitate, and I repeat it again, I will not hesitate to raise taxes. Not like my opponents. Gather the facts, review the issues, go back to the people, and do what's best for the township. Thank you.
Mr. Conrad, you express a desire for more police on the street, however, you voted against the budget to provide for more police. Please explain.
Actually, that's pretty easy. If we go back to when I was accused of that, that actual statement was not only denied by me, but by a true independent candidate, George Doherty, at that meeting, who said, when I said I would vote for the budget, if we took out some fluff spending clauses in the capital budget, he agreed with me. If you go back to the tape from April 1st, 2013, 1 hour and 4 minutes into the tape, you will see that's exactly what I said. I agreed with the operational budget. I need to put more police officers on the street. I'm the one that's working on the street with the police officers and see them. If you don't believe I support the police, please. I won't put them in the middle. Talk to the police officers. See where I stand. Police on the street is going to help a lot of community problems. We've slowly lowered our numbers from 54 when we moved the police department to now. We're at 42 with 3 of them in the academy. We need more police on the street to help all of our problems.
Mr. Walker, would you like to respond to that?
Yes. Mr. Conrad, you can put whatever spin you want on how you vote for the budget, but I hold you personally responsible for the safety, the fear, the concern that you put on the neighbors of Ward 1. I hold you personally responsible. No one wants to raise taxes. We all know that. I don't want to raise taxes. I can't afford taxes. I live on a budget just like everybody else. But apparently, you didn't understand the budget. You didn't understand that the budget is the fuel, the gasoline that keeps the engine running. Okay? The engine's the township. You know, you were on council 8 years. You've been long enough to know this. You know how the budget works. There was a wish list there. You ignored that wish list because you had a personal agenda. You can tell me whatever you want. That personal agenda was this election, 2014.
The funny thing is, what's the spin on the truth? It's the truth. Watch the video, as I said, and somebody else also backed me up. The funny thing is, somebody now is saying, oh, I will support more public officers and public safety. Yet, he was telling people on the street not too long ago that no, we can't add more police officers because it would increase the taxes. The facts are the facts. I support the police. I support all public safety. I also look at the other priorities in this township. I am not trying to make this a one-issue election.
All right, going with the one-issue election thing, Mr. Walker, what can be done about privatizing the tax collection? Do you favor that or not?
No, I do not agree with privatizing anything, any department, any type of function in our township. I think it's too important that people that have their jobs here, that they keep their jobs. And I think and again, I just repeat that I'm very strongly that I am not in favor of any privatization whatsoever.
On this, we agree. I've never been in favor of privatization. I don't even know where this question came from. We have one of the best tax collecting departments in the state. They do a wonderful job, and I just don't know where that would come from. Yeah, I'm sorry. We totally agree. There's no reason for privatization. I've been against privatization of all services. And I'm still wondering about a couple of ones we actually did, like animal control, but I have to see what's going on with that contract. We did have a wonderful person, Mr. Montgomery, but we are having some issues now.
Mr. Conrad, there's a question here. What will you do about the heroin epidemic in the villas?
First step in that is getting more police officers on the street. There's no two ways about this. It's not just the villas. This is not a Lower Township problem. This is not a county problem. It's not a state problem. It's a national problem. We've tried education. We've gone to different services to see what they can do. We have to reach out to the youth. That is where, actually, one of my strong points, talking to the youth. And we also, that's where police have the DARE program. That's why I'm a strong supporter of the school resource officer. We have to reach the youth at a young age. We can't really help the older people that have gotten involved with this, that are in their 20s and 30s, because we don't have the resources. The state doesn't have the resources. We do know rehab is cheaper than prison. But what do we do here? The only thing we can do is get some more police officers on the street to patrol, and as I brought up the one meeting, possibly get the tactical unit back, so when there's a hot spot in certain areas, we can put extra police officers in that area for a few hours, for a shift, for a few days. That will solve most of the problems. They will also be able to talk to the youth as they go around, and our police are doing a wonderful job, but they need more help, and if the community helps them, they'll help us.
I find it humorous that Mr. Conrad says put more police on the street when he is the one that voted against the budget. How would I defend or fight drugs in my community? First thing would be by bringing that police station out of the airport, putting it up here on Bay Shore Road, so we're Second thing is I would hire more police officers, absolutely. The third thing, I would, with the police station being up here, it sets up the right pinnacle to set up an education program. We can do this in our schools, in the rec programs, and foremost with the family. We need to, in this education program, to set up rehabilitation. I would also like to look into what they're doing in other townships or drug court. And I also would like to work with the county and see what we can do about putting some sort of homeless shelter. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Walker, community, you know, we already have a DARE program that's in the schools giving education. We also have a lot of different youth activities and resources with different churches and stuff. But as stated by the chief of police, most likely the move of the police station is not going to change the crime rate. Why is it going to change? Actually, from what I understand, certain people that turn themselves in or know they're going to be arrested go and shoot up in their parking lot. Do we really need that near the rec center and the schools? It's a simple idea, a simple question, but some people want to push it. I will do whatever's necessary to get the police the proper facility. The question is, do we have the space? Answer the same questions. If you go back even to other meetings, you will find I'm asking the same questions. If we get the correct answer, I will be happy to move it.
Mr. Walker, do you know what the current status of the OEM is, and is Lower Township prepared to handle another storm?
Again, I have to plead that I'm not a politician, that I'm a public servant, and I'll be a public servant to the people of the village. I do not, and I am not familiar with that. But I'll go back to everything that I've learned from day one, that I've learned with my business, that I've learned with my family, and that I've learned with my children. I'll gather the facts. I'll address the issues. I'll meet with the residents. I'll talk and communicate with the residents, find out their feelings, and then I'll do what's best for the township.
Unfortunately, at that point, the storm would have already passed. What we're at right now is our emergency service personnel for years have reacted very well. Lower Township works very well together. We don't have all the resources we need. We've been talking about this for years. In the capital budget, we do have money for cots and blankets. It wasn't spent. We need these supplies. We need a shelter. And we also have to make a plan for moving our people if we have to evacuate outside of the county. That plan is not there. We need to start pushing on that and try to get all of our ducks in order. Because FEMA, it used to be we rely on other agencies. It's slowly coming down. Now that it is on the municipality to provide evacuation plans. We don't have the shelter, proper shelter. We need to get something in order.
Mr. Conrad, what issues outside of your respective ward do you think are a major priority to the township?
We have to do flood control throughout the township. We have to protect our dunes throughout the township. Flooding is a major thing. Throughout the township, we have to look at the crime. We have to look at what's best for all the people. We have to look at our storm drains. We're talking to the flood maps, but at the same time, are we talking about actually mitigating flooding in certain parts? No. We have to make a lot of corrections in space in a lot of places. The dunes, there's money out there, possibly, but there's no projects going on the Delaware side. Crime is throughout the township. It's not the villas. We have to look at, flooding. We have to look at recreation. What do we got for the kids to do? Once you get 6th grade in Lower Township, there's nothing. I've been asking for an outdoor basketball league, possibly adult volleyball. There has to be something for people to do. If we had outdoor basketball at these different places, or had more events at our parks, not necessarily organized baseball teams and football teams, but things for people to do. They get a stake in that park. They start taking care of it. They're worried about that. I've had questions about the pound garden or something like that. It sounds good, but there's no place to put it. But what about if we start doing adult-themed things? And there are kids that love volleyball.
I agree a lot with what Mr. Conrad has to say. Fixed roads is definitely a priority. Flooding, recreation. But I think my pet peeve and the thing that I've seen for the last 8 years that I think that we really need to get involved with is economic development. We need jobs down here. We need to be more friendly with business. We need to put our young people to work and keep them here. If we don't look at the economic development of this town over the next few years, where are we going to be? It's something that we have to take charge of. And if I'm elected as your councilman, I will be a leader in economic development in the first ward.
Economic development company that's so far in this township recently. K-May Brewery, it's in Ward 1 at the airport. It's a wonderful facility, it's slowly growing. Now we're going to say I don't have economic development. We have opened up loans, we have done a lot of different things. The problem is this, our industrial area is not well built, but we have done partnerships with the DRBA to try to get the airport more functional. Jobs, we could try to bring businesses in, but that's a tough thing for a municipality to do.
Do I have another rebuttal on that, moderator?
That's right.
Mr. Conrad, I'm going to try and get through this question. It has to do with the MUA. It says, at the October meeting of CapeIssues.com, the committee was unanimous in finding that the Lower Township MUA was disabled. The group has members that are Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Why can't you support it too? I'm not quite sure of your issue, so I'm not sure.
That was a thing that had voted. That was an item that had been voted on prior, and them coming out with it at that point, I don't know if that's, don't get me wrong, but that was,
That's fine. If it's not a legitimate question, that's okay.
I don't believe it is.
Sir, Mr. Walker, do you think it's a legitimate question?
I heard that question asked at a council meeting, and someone brought it to the floor. And I guess I would like to add to that is, for the last 6 years, I've sat on the planning board. And on the planning board, we have Republicans, we have Democrats, and we have independents. And when the issues come in front of us, we vote the issue. We don't vote the party. And that's the problem I've seen here for the last 8 years. The little guy on his shoulder with the cigar, he leans over and he tells them what to do. We need to change that. And if I'm elected councilman, I will bring leadership to the first ward.
The biggest question that how recently, past 6 months, the constitutional right of every citizen, every Democrat or Republican in this township has been questioned by a certain small group. I have no one that I answer to. It's all smokescreen because for the most of this election, most of this time, they have ignored all the other priorities. Remember when Roseanne Avenue outside this Ward 1 was an issue? Oh, we'll be right on it. We'll get into it. Roseanne Avenue is not on the table anymore. Storm drains throughout the township. We have some on Evergreen that the inflow are 3 inches lower than the outflow, so it causes lot flooding. We have other issues, but no, politics comes first, because whoever heard of a resolution being put forward to council to ask what your future ordinance vote is.
This will be the last question. Lower Township was in compliance with the state's best practices policy for shared services. What areas do you think could be improved or new agreements be negotiated to make this requirement for state aid? And I'll put the question to both of you. Mr.
I
Stein.
asked first to let him go first.
All right, Mr. Walker?
First of all, as not being a politician, I really don't understand the question, but I'm going to try and answer it to the best of my ability. My understanding of shared services, and I've been following it for some time now, the governor of this state came out very strongly in his second year of office, I believe, and put it out that he really wanted to see all municipalities in the state of New Jersey to take advantage of shared services. Where else can we take advantage better than the dissolvement of the MUA, bring those people all forward as a department of our lower township. The managing director has already talked to these people and told them they're not losing their jobs, they're not losing their seniority, they're not losing any pay scale, they're not losing vacation. I don't understand it. For the last 6 months, this guy's still asking, he wants more information, he wants more questions. I don't know what more information we can give him. All I know is we can save our taxpayers and ratepayers $1 million a year.
You do not understand what shared services, that's a hostile takeover. Shared service would be with the MUN, where we would about $700,000 per year. We could possibly do a shared service with the county for the police building and get the county dispatch that this township is actually pushing for, and it would have a home with OEM in the number 2 FEMA site in this county. That is a high water spot.
All right, we're going to go to the closing remarks now, and each one of you has 1 minute. And it'll be in the reverse order that we started with.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and everybody, anyone who was responsible for this debate to get our viewpoints across. Government does not work without a true partnership between the elected officials and the citizens. they have elected. When you forget who elected you, you forget who you serve. You will never have to tell me how you feel about an issue. I will know, because I'll be available to you at all times to listen. When I'm elected, the police station will come back to face your road, and there will be more officers patrolling our streets. When I'm elected, the MUA will become a township department, and I will save the ratepayers and the taxpayers $1 million a year in their own hard-earned money. When I'm elected, the countless quality of life issues that never got solved will be solved. You've seen 8 years of Tom Conrad. It's time for a change. Let's move forward together.
When you start your campaign with a lie, what is going to be your service? I've walked door to door. People have asked me certain questions, some that's on the petition that didn't know we were tearing down the police department. When I talked about building police, getting more police officers on the street, they agreed. And they were told, my opponent didn't say that. I've always been honest. I believe in it. I treat myself a certain way. What we have to do is bring this township back together. In the past 6 months, by the actions of a few, this township has been torn apart, neighbor against neighbor. We need to start working together to solve the problems of the future, and we need to start acting now. And please, re-elect me.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Will was supposed to be here tonight for Ward 1 also, and I had promised that if he could not come, that I would read a statement from him. If anyone has that statement, I'll read that now. No. Okay, Ward 2, folks, please get ready to come up and I'll go get your questions. We're going to have opening remarks now, and the gentlemen have 90 seconds to make their opening remark. We'll start with Mr. Curry.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is David Perry. Good evening. My name is David Perry. For those of you who don't know me, I've lived in Lower Township since 1960. I grew up here, went to school, ended up getting married. My wife and I raised 4 children here. Those children are now grown. 3 of my 4 children, as adults, have chosen to come back to Lower Township, to buy homes here, to live here as residents, and raise their families. I've been involved in this community since I was an adult. I've been a member of the Town Bank Volunteer Fire Company for over 40 years. While serving in the Town Bank Fire Company, I've served in many leadership roles. I was also elected to the Board of Fire Commissioners of Fire District Number 2, and I've served 4 terms on that, in the 1980s and the 1990s. As Vice Chairman of that board, I was involved in the design, the building of the Town Bank Volunteer Firehouse. So I've been involved in major projects. I've also served as a fire official here in Lower Township for 27 years, over 27 years. I've also been trained as a certified public manager. During my years of public service here in Lower Township, I was also a member of the Lower Township Office of Emergency Management, and I served as a deputy coordinator. I've also served as a deputy fire marshal. I love this great community, and to make sure that my grandchildren enjoy this community as I do, I'm running for office because I love this township. And I want to bring this township back together. It's broken. I want to put the citizens' priorities first. Add more police to our streets in our community, fix our drainage problems, pave our streets when they're needed to be paved, and work with the community to provide a much better plan for coastal protection. Thank you.
Mr. Neville?
Well, first I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Star and Wave and 94.3 Women's for hosting this event. I'm Jim Neville, and I've represented the residents of Ward 2 as councilman for the past 2 years. I've been living in Ward 2 for the past 50 years. I went to St. Raymond's grade school, Wild Catholic High School, and I earned a degree in chemistry from St. Joe's University in Philadelphia. I began my environmental career at the Cape May County Health Department, lab, testing the ocean beaches for swimming water quality. I moved up to environmental specialist before being hired by the Cape May County MUA as chemist in charge of all laboratories. At the same time, in the early 1990s, I met and married my wife Patty, and we raised 2 young men who were in college studying engineering. I was involved in the community during these years through scouting, Little League, CYO basketball, and the Optimist Club. 2 years ago, I got completely involved in my community by running for Ward 2 Council. Since being elected, I've taken my position very seriously by attending meetings with the DRBA, attending the FEMA meetings to get a handle on how that will affect the residents of my ward, and by hosting town meetings to listen to the concerns of my residents. I realize that I serve my constituents, not a political party, so my decisions and votes are what I feel will benefit all of the residents of Ward 2. I see the value to the taxpayer and the ratepayer to make government more efficient by merging the MUA into a township department. I also see the value of moving the public safety building and our police back to the original site in the Bills, next to Town Hall. But most importantly, I listen to the residents. I'm available and approachable, and although I'm not going to agree with anyone 100% of the time, I take everyone's concerns into account. Thank you.
Mr. Perry, are you in favor of the beach access improvement project recommended by the Recreation Advisory Board?
Great question. As I stated, when the project was first, or actually when I first heard the project come up at a township meeting, I was totally against it for several different reasons. First of all, I don't believe the committee was well enough informed of exactly what the Recreation Board had planned for that project. Being involved in emergency management over the years that I have been, I think the most important thing to happen on that beachfront is beach protection. Not just in the North Cape May area, but all the way up our coastline on the bay side. I've been involved in watching what happens with hurricanes, and we were lucky with Sandy, and we did have some problems with flooding down there. And one of the most important things is to get our dunes built up and to start following some of the FEMA regulations. Instead of looking at maps and saying, let's get the maps changed, let's get on board with the FEMA regulations for our municipality so that the people who need flood insurance can get flood insurance at a decent rate instead of paying the high rates when you're in non-compliance. Some people may not even be able to get flood insurance if it's in areas that are that bad. And it's not just the beachfront with that. There's also the Roseanne Avenue, low-lying areas that fall in line with that. But no, I have never been in favor of that beach project and stated many, many times, especially any chance of commercializing anything on that beachfront.
Well, I'm glad you touched on the fact that it's the most contentious issue that is faced Ward 2. The biggest problem was that the rec board had the project, and it was years in the making, and it was even way prior to my terms in office. But there never was a public meeting to outline what the project would entail. Money was spent, a permit was obtained, but the public didn't know anything about it. Now, originally, I saw a value to the whole project as it was, but that was prior to the FEMA maps indicating that a good portion, 3.5 blocks or so, of the maps seemed to come exactly to the road in the B zone, which would have a negative effect on the township as far as being participation would violate the firm act. I saw the value because the new road that was going to be attached to it on the Town Bank section. But the people in Town Bank actually came out and they were opposed to it. That's why I'm not going to be for any dune disturbance at all. I can't support that. And on floodplain, ordinance 2014, sand dunes. Prohibit man-made alterations of sand dunes within the V zone on community
Your
beaches.
time's up, sir.
Back to the beachfront, as I stated earlier, one of our most important areas in Ward 2 is along that bayfront as far as I'm concerned about flooding, along with the Roseanne Avenue area. We have to reach out for resources through FEMA, through other government grants that we can take care of that, and I want to see us as Lower Township become a community-graded system with FEMA, so we can take care of our citizens' property and also ensure that they have proper flood insurance at a reasonable cost.
Mr. Neville, if the police department moves to the villas, where will the EMS relocate to?
Let me understand your question properly. The EMS is the fire, or the...
Emergency
Emergency
Management Service.
It's Tom Conrad. The EMS will have to take care of, and to be honest, the public safety building does not have the section for the EMS. The EMS, I guess, we will have to find a location for it.
Okay. Down.
To touch on the moving in of the police station, and one of the main reasons that I would be opposed to doing that at this point was it's not properly planned. We've worked since 1985 with fire districts, EMS, and the township fathers of this township to work together with the police department, emergency management, to have all emergency services together and work together, and it's worked well over the years. It's worked well to the extent that when they did move in 95 and they were going to make some type of move for the police department, that they wanted to include fire and EMS and emergency management with them, so we would have all emergency services together at one point. Under critical times of emergencies, we need to work together, and we need to work together closely. This plan to move that building does not include very, very important areas of emergency services in this township. And without all them together, it's a tragedy to this township. 30 years of working down the drain.
You get to rebut that if you want. Mr. Prairie, do you want to make the MUA a township department?
Again, no, I'm not. I'm in favor of a shared services agreement, looking at both the MUA being taken over by the township and the building of the police station, putting $21 million of debt into this township in 1 year is totally unheard of. When you borrow money, you have to pay it back. The MUA is working well. They had a management problem. They got their problems taken care of. They're in the middle of taking care of it. When you can't fix storm drains for over periods of years, like in the Roseanne track, I've talked to these people. They lose cars in rainstorms. That's unheard of. If you can't fix the storm drains, how can you take care of water and sewer services? I just can't fathom that.
Well, the 17 million is a lie. It's debt that the MUA has that's actually backed by the township. This is the kind of thing that elected officials live for, saving money for the ratepayers and taxpayers. $991,000 by the auditor's account. There will be no layoffs. Blue-collar workers will be absorbed by the water and sewer department. Savings come from the top, the lawyers, engineers, and the elected services. It was approved by the local finance board. The water and sewer department would stabilize rates for years to come, and the bonds would be transferred to the new finance division of that department. It's called the self-liquidating department. We can increase efficiency to the town, and the MUA, like leaf collection comes into mind, as well as snow removal, will have a bigger workforce, We can end waste and lawsuits from the shadow government who's now dipping into their reserves to balance their budget, but won't allow anyone to see the budget. It's a dysfunctional, wasteful spending MUA. Many towns have water and sewer departments that run well. This town can run it well, and while no towns are creating MUAs, plenty of towns are dissolving.
Again, out knocking on doors since May, talking to the people of Ward 2. I've yet to find one person in Ward 2 that was in favor of this, the township taking over the MUA. Most of the people spoke to me and told me that they were dead against it. Other people didn't even know about it, which is probably pretty common in some areas. No one has said that they were in favor of it to me. That's number one. Number two, shared services. We can do this, accomplish the same savings with the shared services agreement, with the MUA. I believe we can do that and let the MUA continue to do the fine job that they're doing with our water and sewer.
Mr. Perry, what is the number one issue you feel that never gets addressed by the council that should be?
Talking to the people in Ward 2, their main concern that seems never to get addressed is the Roseanne Avenue, Linda Ann Avenue, Suzanne Avenue tract. I've talked to people, I've seen studies from 1995, 2001, 2011. These people have been having property damage, people losing cars. I spoke to a gentleman, he took me in his backyard, he's got 3 sump pumps running in his backyard to pump water out. We had a storm drain problem in that area, may even need a pump station to get it out, similar to what Cape May has in Rock Hollow, for the people familiar with the city of Cape May. Can something be done? Absolutely. There's probably federal money out there just for projects like that we can apply for and get these people's fixed. That is probably the number one major concern that's overlooked, as far as I'm concerned, in the township, definitely in Ward 2.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's not being overlooked. The township just received recently a $250,000 resiliency grant for engineering studies for the preservation of dunes and controlling stormwater surges. The study will impact on Fishing Creek, Coxall Creek, and the beachfront. And we're also working on the CRS program, Community Rating System, which can help lower insurance rates. The stormwater infrastructure is a complex problem. The Roseanne Avenue flow has been monitored and it has gotten better due to the cooperation of the County Mosquito Department and the Planning Board. The complaints have been reduced as the work on Coxall has helped alleviate the flooding during moderate events. This, however, is an inherited problem. There are groundwater issues, and the people who bought houses built on land that 40 years ago should never have been built on in the first place, they're the victims. And yes, they do have a lot of problems. The Roseanne Avenue stormwater pipe outfall is 1 foot lower than the outfall at the beach at Coxall Creek. The water doesn't flow up there. So yes, eventually maybe a pumping station may be needed, but there are water mains on top of that storm drain, and that also should never have been allowed. This must be corrected, and money will be spent to solve the problem, but it's going to be spent wisely, and it's on the top of Manager Gold's list.
To be quite honest with you, I'm really happy to hear that something's finally going to be taken care of down there, or being started anyway. As far as the complaints go, I kind of disagree with that. Speaking with the people, 3 different days down there, talking to the people, and yes, they have been calling, and some people are just so fed up, they don't call anymore because they get no results. That's people telling me as I'm talking to them at their doors. I'm glad to see that something is being looked at to be done, but I think it should have been done a long time ago. I know you've been in office 2 years, and it should have been the number one priority then, and I know it's definitely the number one priority with me right now.
You want to rebut that, or you can rebut whatever he said?
Well, we've been working on it, and the resiliency grant, which was unaware of by Councilman Conrad, helps us out, and we are looking at it. When we spend the money, we want to fix it right, We're going to redo the water pipes, and it would be a lot better if there was a township department, it was water and sewer department, working alongside with Public Works to set the pipes, reset the other ones, and then pave right behind them.
All right, Mr. Neville, we've heard from the other candidates in Ward 1, so I'd like to hear your take on this. What issues outside of your respective ward do you think are a major priority to the township?
Well, one of the major priorities to the township is the heroin epidemic, and it's all wards, it's the county, and it's national. I agree with that. I believe that moving the township public safety building back to the villas will help. It'll help because the presence will be seen there, the people, they'll feel a little more safe as they go by the town hall, the town complex, where the children are, where the library is, where the rec center is, where every other community in South Jersey has their police station next to town hall. It'll be where then if somebody wants to come in and pay their taxes and then maybe make a complaint to the police, they can do that. Just to be a presence will help out with the problem of uptown.
You can respond to that too.
Right now, for this election, probably the most important thing is the school funding issue. And I know no one's talked about it tonight, but it's the most important thing that's on the ballot right now, for sure. No doubt about it. I agree with Mr. Neville on the heroin. There's no doubt about it. I believe our town's rated like number 25 or something in the state with heroin problems. I think there's like a threefold, maybe a fourfold issue going on, how we could probably solve some of that. Number one is trying to clean some of these properties up in town from these landlords that do live out of town and don't take care of the properties, because this is what I'm seeing is where our drug problems are happening. So that's a start right there. The other thing is to make sure we get more police officers on the street. It doesn't matter where the building's at, we need the cops on the street where the problems are. That's how crime is solved.
Well, I agree with the cops on the street, and the more we have, the better off we are, and that's why, thanks to the contracts that have been negotiated, as I said, for every police officer that retires, we'll probably be able to hire 2 more. With that said,
We haven't addressed the issue of property taxes, and that's always top on the list everywhere. How would you keep taxes under control, or is there any way to lower them? Mr. Neville, will go with you first.
we do our best to make sure that the property taxes stay stable. I don't know whether, I want to sit here and say, I can lower your property taxes. That's probably not the truth. We do our best to keep the property taxes stable. We had a 0 increase last time. We're talking about hiring more police. We're not going to be able to do that and say we're going to lower your taxes as far as lowering them. We're trying to keep them stable. Doing that and keeping the police officers on the street. I believe that if we took over the MUA and dissolved it, we would be able to save $1 million. That $1 million would go and stabilize rates to the MUA, and I believe that we shared services with that. We'd be able to hire an engineer that can work both at the township and the MUA, split his salary. We have somebody on staff, and those are the type of things that we'll be able to keep our taxes at the rate that they're at now.
I partially agree with Mr. Neville that the employees have given, have made concessions with contracts, which is good. Employees are paying medical, partial medical, which is good, so the township saves a little money there. Police contracts help, so new officers don't make as much when they come on, so, officers there. which is terrific. I also, speaking about the MUA, shared services agreement. We don't need to take the MUA over. We do a shared services agreement with them. We share engineers, we share other professionals, we share office staff, and we save a ton of money, supposedly $750,000, somewhere there a year in administrative costs. And, you know, we can put some more police officers on. To keep taxes down, it is extremely difficult with any budget, let alone this one. And the more police officers we put on, the more it's going to cost.
I've covered most of the questions that have been given to us. Some are of a personal nature, which I won't read. But I think that we could get to the closing remarks now. You each have 1 minute for that. Thank you. Oh, reverse order. That would be David Perry, please. You went first. Then Mr. Neville, you get to go first.
All right, first off, I want to thank the league again for hosting this, the Star Wave and Witness 94.3. But also, I want to thank the public, everybody who came out to hear what the candidates had to say on the issues that affect our local government. You are what makes America what it is. You care about your township, and you want to see it run as efficiently and as transparently as possible. I believe I've lived up to these expectations and will continue to govern with the best interests of Ward 2 as my guiding compass. I hope to steer this ship, making the best decisions for the township that will affect the next generation. I've got 2 children, and I'd like this township to be a place that they could afford to live in, and this county to be a place where they could be gainfully employed. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, especially those who voted for me in 2012, and I hope I've earned your vote again in 2014. Thank you very much.
I would like to also thank the League of Women Voters for doing this debate tonight. It's appreciated. Glad to see the turnout here tonight, and hopefully we get the word out to the rest of the people in our township about the debate tonight and the topics covered. Government is definitely important. Even though I belong to a party, and that's my right under the Constitution of the United States to belong to a party, I'm David Perry, and I don't owe anybody anything. I've always made my own decisions on my own without somebody telling me what to do. I listen though. And I guarantee you, when elected, that I will meet with the voters in Ward 2, and we will sit down and have discussions on solving the problems, not coming up with a solution to trying to shove it down the throat. They got to be a part of the solution. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce our timekeepers, Pam Humphreys and Irene Schreiner. I also want to tell you that up on the table, the league has some information that the state league has put together. Every year you have those questions on the ballot that nobody really quite understands. So the state league has broken those questions down. They've given you some background. They told you why you should vote for the question or why you should not vote for the question. We're totally impartial on this. We are just disseminating information. So make sure you take one of those sheets. And then we'll get ready for Ward 3. I'll go collect the questions. And if you gentlemen would get in place, that would be great.
All right, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and our hosts, especially the League of Women Voters. I am Eric Simonson. I was elected last year by the people in Ward 3 to represent them on council. I grew up here in Lower Township, and currently raise my two beautiful daughters with my wife Anna right here in town. My girls are going through the Lower Township Elementary School District as well as the Lower Cape Regional School District, just like I have. I've been an educator for 22 years. I've been a teacher, a supervisor, now an assistant principal. I've also been a head wrestling coach at both the high school and the junior high, and a strong advocate for youth sports. I've been a volunteer in our own Lower Township Rec Department for many, many years. I'm an ordained deacon, and also an advocate for students and young adults with special needs. I believe that Ward 3 needs a strong leader. We are faced with issues today in this town that are not only going to affect our lives, but are going to affect the lives of our children, their children. We in Ward 3 pay the bulk of the taxes, and I want to make sure, I'm going to continue to fight and make sure that we don't incur unwanted millions and millions of dollars of debt, because that's what's coming down the line if things go through the way my opponents want them to. I can tell you this, I'm going to educate the children, I'm going to aid our senior citizens, and I'm going to back our working class families in Lower Township. I'm Eric Simonson. I hope I have the
Mr. Douglas?
Good evening. My name is Glenn Douglas, and I'm a candidate for Ward 3 Council. I would like to thank the League, the KMA Star and Wave, and others responsible for this evening's event. I was born and raised here and have been a lifelong resident of Lower Township. I am married to my beautiful wife for 34 years, Dr. Brenda Lee Douglas. We have 3 sons, Daniel in San Francisco, Ryan, his wife, Leanne, our 2 grandsons, Aiden and Grady, and our youngest son, Brett, at home. They all are in Lower Township. I come from a well-respected family of the community, and one that has always been committed in being part of Lower Township for many years. I served on Lower Township Council for over 6 years until recently in September 2013. While in my 7th year on council, I retired from my industrial manager position with the State of New Jersey Department of Corrections. A recently revised law required me to resign my council position in order to process my retirement. The changes in the law also allowed for me to return to an elected position without receiving any additional retirement benefit after being deemed a bona fide retiree. I served on council with integrity, responsibility, and dedication for the residents of Lower Township, and will continue to do so when elected. I value the concerns of people throughout all generations, and will continue to work hard to keep Lower Township a safe, healthy, and affordable place to live. I work hard as a team member on council to keep our employees working, reduce costs in government, services without additional cost to tackle. I believe in my independence in the political world and being a caring voice for the people as attributed to my open mindfulness, concerned decision-making, and cooperative teamwork planning for the future of the residents of Lower Township. I look forward to serving the residents of Lower Township in the future. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Mr. Simonson, if the county is willing to enter a shared service agreement with the public safety building that will save taxpayers millions of dollars, do you feel that there's an obligation to explain that option to the taxpayers? I don't really quite understand that question.
Well, I can say absolutely, because I've been making that point for the last few months since I've been on council. So yes, I do. I believe that, you know, before you spend millions of dollars of taxpayer money, you explore all options, and that's something that has not been done. In fact, there have been no other options explored, and I believe that's, you know, at the end of the day, when you've explored all those options, and the best option is moving it back to a place they moved from in the first place, then so be it. But according to the question, I mean, there are so many other options out there. When you're talking about this much money, it's catastrophic, and it's something that needs to be explored. Thank you.
I find it kind of interesting that the county came at the last hour to basically come up with this idea that they're going to do shared services for share services within this police building. This has been a topic for quite some time, and I don't understand why at the last minute they're coming forward and saying that they can be part of our community and working with us in the county airport. If they had an interest, I thought it would have come a long time ago when we were discussing this building and moving forward to moving our police station. There was a committee set up with the public. Members of the public and my opponent here, Mr. Simonson, was on that committee. They voted to move forward on moving the police station. It's basically a numbers issue. Continue spending money on repairs in the airport building or move into a new station at the old location. The township owns that property.
Yes, well, I don't know where they get the last 0 hour or the last minute. I know that the Office of Emergency Management was looking for a new location because they could no longer stay, as I understand it, in the basement of the county library. So that's how this came about. You know, the bottom line is if we can share services and we can share a building, it's only going to benefit our people and our town. And as far as the committee goes, I was a member of that committee. I did a lot of extensive research. I talked to real estate companies, property owners, business owners, checking out other locations, and it fell on deaf ears. No one wanted to hear about any other properties. No one wanted to hear about any other building. It was moved back to the villas in the old building that they moved out of in the first place for nothing at all. And that's the bottom line.
Just as has been brought up before, the police station was originally at that location, and I believe, you know, bringing OEM, the study of the building has proven that it may not be a structurally sound building for OEM. They come up with these ideas at the last minute, as I said, and I believe that it's just a obstruction to basically stop what was being processed, what had been approved, what had been moved forward, and basically it was an obstruction.
Mr. Simonson, do you want to make the MUA a township department?
Absolutely not. I believe the same amount of money, we've heard $1 million, or as Mr. Neville said, $991,000. In those costs, nothing was ever, the auditor never took into consideration the people that would have to be hired, those people that were going to do additional jobs, if there were any pay increases. We can save the same amount of money by sharing services, like I said, office equipment, as well as office positions and things like that. The other thing is, you know, I've lived here my whole life. I've always been happy with my sewer and water. Over the last 5 years, we haven't had a rate increase, and all the projects done by the MUA have been under budget and on time. I'll tell you one thing, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I believe the MUA should have been dissolved. It's a no-brainer, saving money for the taxpayers and ratepayers. The Finance Board approved the dissolution, 5-0 vote. No towns are creating MUA authorities, but they are dissolving or consolidating with their public works. No employees lose their jobs. We need experienced and licensed staff for the utilities. Shadow government, Governor Christie supports getting rid of shadow government agencies. The resources combined cost-effective with staffing, equipment. All towns around us have a water sewer department under their municipal government. Employees and board members have come to council asking for help because of problems at the MUA. Everything's under control, but we had board members and employees coming to council and asking for help with the problems down there. Mismanagement needs to be controlled. It's out of control at this time. Using money for ratepayers, they're using money to pay for fighting the issue.
If I may, I really need to clear some up because I remember I was at the meeting when the employees from the MUA came to ask council for help. and the only help they were asking for was a tyrant that when Mr. Douglas was in office, he helped put the guy in charge, and that was Matt Eckert. Not only that, but the people were, their First Amendment right was taken away from them. They weren't allowed to speak at that meeting. But I can tell you this, you know, the things, it depends. Who's going to run that MUA if you take it over? That's what I want to know. Who's in charge? Now, under the local finance board, you know, Michael Voll, our manager, said he was going to be the executive director. It's in the papers. It's in the minutes of the local finance board. And I love Mike, but he doesn't have any certification, any qualifications, or any experience. And, you know, like I said, I get good sewer and water, and I pay some of the lowest ratables in the state of New Jersey, and I'm happy. Don't fix it.
Simonson, I don't have any specific questions for your ward like I've had for the other two. So what is the biggest issue in Ward 3?
We have several at this time. One is helping the residents of the Diamond Beach section. Their fire insurance is going up to the highest it could possibly go up to. Not only that, with the new assessments, they're paying the highest taxes. I don't know where Mr. Neville got 0% on property tax, but I would love to have that because I know my taxes, property taxes went up. I spoke to residents in the Diamond Beach section where their assessments stayed the same and some of their taxes went up $1,400 this year. So that's one of the problems. We also have some infrastructure projects going on in the Wissahickon section and some of the sections over towards Tranquility. And one of the big issues that's going to be coming up that I've been meeting on a regular basis is the end of the parkway. They're going to redo the end of the parkway at exit 0. Some of it looks very good, and I was happy that Senator Van Drew came down and backed me to try to do away with part of the project that was going to diminish the property values of some of our homeowners right there along Route 9. Thank you.
I have to agree with Mr. Simonson with the topics that he brought up. Diamond Beach has been an issue for years with fire safety. The fire department that handles that area, Irma Fire, has actually worked on purchasing a fire truck to work on that area. They can go over the bridge. There's issues going over the bridge. The people on Diamond Beach have brought their concerns. There's been issues over that area also of flooding. A lot of work's been done over there to alleviate the problem of flooding. It's a general issue throughout our township in each of our wards. And the different projects that are going on, I'm aware of the Parkway project. When I was on council, that was brought to our attention that original design for having roundabouts and different types of design were brought forward. It needs to be done in that area. There's been too many motor vehicle accidents at the end of the parkway, and I think it's great that that's coming forward.
All right, well, back to the fire insurance at Diamond Beach. I got a memo from Mr. Bull yesterday that said that there was an interlocal agreement before, and that the property owners there had a rating of a 4 for their fire insurance, and now it's going up to a 10. And coincidentally, that interlocal agreement expired 6 years ago on Mr. Douglas's watch. So I'm working to try to, reconnect with Mayor Brune and DeCrest, and also, talking to Dave Lepore, one of our fire commissioners in Irma. We have to work something out. These people need help, and that's what I'm here to do.
Mr. Douglas, what issues outside of Ward 3 do you think are a major priority to the township?
Major issues outside of the Ward 3 area are what has been brought up in the other areas. We need more police on our streets, and we have been working towards that. When I was on council, we worked towards working with our employees and developing new contracts, and it was a teamwork program. Everybody worked together, and we have developed a process now where the police officers are coming in at a lower salary. The overall increments go for longer steps, which will allow us to hire more police officers for our town. Along with, we recently have had a lot of issues with retirement, so we had to keep up to the retiring police officers along with bringing on new. I think that has been building and it will continue. The issues with drugs it's throughout our county, throughout our town, throughout the state. Yes, we need to address that issue. We need to keep working on it. And I think we have a good police department that's really aggressive towards it. And also, you know, our taxes. We're going to keep our taxes stable, and we have worked hard to do that and continue.
Yes, and I agree. Obviously, we need more police on the street. I think there's a candidate up here that doesn't agree with that. It's how we do it. We did reconfigure contracts a couple of years ago, and since then, our numbers have not gone up on the police force. Our numbers have dwindled, and it's not right. We should have added police a long time ago. And now, the other issue is, yes, the drug epidemic, and we do need more police on the street. But how are you going to fix that problem? We need to go into the towns, the villas, North Cape May, wherever it may be, in this whole township. We need to educate people on the drug problem. And that's what I do. I bring in programs. I teach the kids what it's about. I have kids that see their parents do drugs at home. We teach them how to get help, how to get counseling. We teach parents how to search for certain clues that their son or daughter may be involved in drugs. That's what we need to do. Because until we all get proactive, putting more police on the street isn't going to stop heroin.
I agree with Mr. Simonson. He is an educator. He's involved with the school system, and that's a great opportunity for them to produce these types of programs. We also need to, you know, we got to do our homework. We got to investigate all these different areas that's going on, and work with our departments. We do need to increase our police department. We have been doing it. Our numbers are going up. They're not going down. And we will continue to do that.
Question and I don't know why we haven't had this sooner. Women make up approximately 5% of the board or the commission memberships in Lower Township. And what would you do to get more women to apply for and be chosen for these positions? Mr. Douglas?
I absolutely believe that women should be out and part of our boards. And in fact, I believe there's one in here that I recommended to be on board. We need a dual program. We need male, female. We need younger generations. We need, and we're starting to see that people are coming out and getting involved. We have a lot of younger generation that wants to get involved, and I fully support women on the boards. Basically, you know, getting the word out to any of the interested candidates that want to come out and be part. They have to, you know, come and fill the application on the board they want to be on. So, yes, I do agree that we should have some more women on the board, and hopefully they'll come out and be part of it.
I can tell you that women have come out and filled out applications, and it's kind of been turned a blind eye towards. I think we need more women on boards. I don't care if it's zoning, planning, you know, rec advisory, whatever it may be. And women are as, if not more qualified as men, especially as single parent women. You know, not only do they raise their children and work, you know, but they're productive citizens in our township. And it's all about getting the word out, and I think that's important. You know, when you get, you know, it's not just men that apply for these positions, and we need to make sure that we take into consideration the qualifications of the women that apply. Like a Jackie Henderson who sat in I guess our seat, we could call it, and did a great job. She also works through the libraries and things like that. There's a lot of women throughout this this county, especially in education. Mr. Douglas's wife herself is a physician, and we have people that you know, are very well qualified, need to be acknowledged.
Let's talk about taxes. Mr. Simonson, what can you do to help control rising taxes?
Well, there's one thing I can do, and that's not strap $21 million in debt to the back of our taxpayers. I believe in methodical solutions, researching the evidence, and not coming up with wish list items like we've heard, okay? New police buildings, they are no frills, basic, made out of cheap materials. That's what we're going to spend at least $4 million on. Or how about imaginary fishing piers in 3 feet of water when you talk to the DEP, all right? These are things we don't need to spend our money on, and with that, our taxes will go down.
We have worked over the years with the budget and keeping the budget stable, keeping the programs that we have, keeping all our services together. I believe everybody on council works hard, and that's part of their job, is to work hard for the people and to keep our taxes down. Adding 21 million budget or deficit to our budget, that's not true. That is handled by the MUA. The MUA, if it's dissolved and brought into the township, that debt is already being covered by the township. So that debt will continue to be there, whether it's the MUA side or the township dissolved it. But it is all controlled by the ratepayers and the money, the funds that are received through the MUA. That is going to stay a separate entity as far as a separate department. All the budget will, from the ratepayers, will be handled through that budget.
Well, the 17 million right now is the MUA's priority. It's not the townships. If we cover it, that's one thing. But to take it over and cause, you know, half of our citizens, especially in our Ward 3, don't even get sewer and water. Why should they pay for the debt if they have nothing to do with it? It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the taxpayers that are not ratepayers in this town. Thank you.
What is the number one issue you feel that never gets addressed by council that should be? Mr. Simonson.
Well, the number one that I think, and it would kind of fall into line with all the other issues, is giving our youth more things to do, more educational programs, more recreational programs. There are things that we can do throughout this town, supervise activities that can get our kids off the street when they're involved. And I can tell you right now, every kid that's involved in an athletic event or an after-school program or a music program or things like that, they usually do better in school, as well as it keeps them off the streets. They won't see the heroin being sold down the street if they're not down there hanging out in front of it. Okay? We have the opportunity, we have many places, this Milton Center is a perfect example, to offer more activities. You know, we have the rec center, we need to expand activities there, we've been doing that for years, but there's more things we can do. The airport facility, we can talk about economic development. We can provide, we can build, they just took a hockey rink away from there. We need to add more things, not take things away. Because with our youth, like Frederick Douglass once said, it is far easier to build strong children than fix broken men.
I will agree with Mr. Simonson. We do need to bring more for our youth, keep them out of the trouble. Working, you know, I've always been involved with youth myself, and it's an issue. If we keep them involved, they stay out of trouble. Working also within the township is going out and listening to the people of our community. The people are who we are here for, and who we are basically, we are put in office to respect what they are interested in, and we need to get back out in the community and work together with the community to bring forward our township to the next generation.
Listen, although me and Mr. Douglas may disagree on other things, I know we're 100%, I know where his family comes from, and my family as well have been volunteers in this township for, I bet you if you add it up, probably 2 centuries. So that is something that we both agree on, and I appreciate that. That's all I have to say on it.
Mr. Douglas, time for your ending.
Okay, I want to thank everyone again for coming out tonight. It was nice to see a nice crowd here. We appreciate you coming out, listening to the issues, listening to the candidates. We thank the league for handling this tonight and keeping it under a controlled environment, and the sponsors that were brought up, the Star and Wave, WIBG. It's a good night to bring people out, talk about what our issues are in our community. I want to return to council. I was working as a team player in our council. We were working together to move our town to the next level. I believe that we have some disruptions at this point, and I think we need to get back to the business of the township.
Yes, I also want to thank everyone for coming out in inclement weather. It's just nice to see this many people that care about their town, no matter which way you vote or who you're here to support, and it is appreciated by all of us as the people running for office. Also, again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and all of our sponsors. I believe it's important that, like Mr. Douglas said, we represent you. We're elected officials, okay? I serve the good Lord, my family, and the people of Lower Township, and that's what I've been put out there to do. I don't answer to anyone but the people, okay? I don't care, everyone has a right to be affiliated with have a religion, affiliated with a party, whatever they do, okay? But at the end of the day, you have to make the right decisions about what the people want. And there's no one that's knocked on more doors and talked to more people in this township than I have over the last 3 years, I can guarantee that. I'm Eric Simons, and I hope you support me November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. It's been an enthusiastic and great crowd. I appreciate your courteousness towards all of the candidates. And I'd like to thank 94.3 WIBG and the Star and Wave Radio